We are back and live down here in the Pulse Radio studio at Boise State University. You're listening to Blue Collar Sports. This is our second segment. We go every Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 4 p.m. And today's show is something different. If you guys missed the first segment, this is our 100th show together here in studio. Pretty remarkable, but
Sure
this
is.
show is special. It's going to be a great one.
Yeah, it's already a fantastic show. We kicked off with the biggest sports news that kind of went down. Joe Flacco to the Broncos and kind of the Lakers' struggles, I'd say. But that's all we have today for the big headliners. Today, like you said, today's show's a little bit different. We're trying to get a little bit more personal, kind of make it fun for you guys on our 100th show, and that's what we got for you today.
So we're going to kick it off with this segment related to TV shows and movies and how they relate to sport teams and why. So we had to get a little bit creative one. We hope you guys watch TV shows and movies that we do, because if you can't, you won't be able to relate very well. But it's going to be a great segment.
Yeah, this one is very different, very original. I got free TV shows and movies, either or. And then Seth, he has his own free different entertainment areas, and we're going to relate them to sports, and we're going to show you, kind of wiggle our way in and show you why it is related to sports in some way, somehow. And so, Seth, let's hear it. Let's kick it off with your first one.
Yeah, I'm going to kick it off with, if you're familiar with the show, it's probably a pretty obvious one, but it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Great show. If you guys don't know me, I'm a huge TV show guy. Movies, I like movies. I haven't seen a lot of movies. As a kid, I always had a hard time sitting still, so I didn't really watch a lot of movies. I like the 20-minute TV shows, watch them get out of there. But It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you guys haven't seen it, it's about pretty much 4 friends that are probably the worst people you'll ever meet in your life. They run a bar in Philadelphia, and so, of course, I'm going to relate to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's exactly why I relate to Philadelphia Eagles is because this is exactly how I see that fan base. I've never been to Philadelphia. I got a couple of friends that are Eagles fans, but they're not from Philadelphia or anything. But it's exactly the way I think Philadelphia fans would be. They have one of the best fan bases in the country. They're definitely very passionate. And, of course, there's one scene that always stands out with me in this show, and it's when, again, it's about 4 friends that are just horrible people, but really funny. It's a really funny show. But they're talking about the homeless problem in Philadelphia and how they're upset that their tax dollars are going towards fixing it. And then they talk about how they use the Philadelphia just used their tax dollars to build an Eagles training facility, but that they were all on board on because, quote unquote, they didn't want LaShawn McCoy to roll an ankle.
Yeah.
And I think that shows Philadelphia's passion for sports, and I think that's why it's an obvious relation.
Yeah, Philadelphia fans maybe a little too passionate sometimes. We saw that after their Super Bowl win, tearing down the city. A little messy there. But Seth, you're definitely more TV show guy. I'm more of a movie guy, I'd say. And so I'm going to kick mine off with my favorite movie, and it's a franchise, and that is Star Wars, I got to say.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely my favorite. And I'm going to compare the Star Wars franchise to the New England Patriots.
Oh, okay.
So the New England Patriots, unless you're from the Boston, Foxborough area, you're not really a fan of them. So we're going to make the Patriots the dark side. They are the dark side of the Force. And Bill Belichick, he just has that look that he's the emperor of the dark side. He always wears a hoodie, just like he does.
That's a great correlation.
And he doesn't really talk too much. He doesn't do too much. He's always just sitting there or standing there. But you don't want to mess with him. And then Tom Brady is absolutely Darth Vader. He's pretty cool, but not if you're not on his side, you probably don't really like him. And Darth Vader could take down anybody, just like Tom Brady takes down defenses. He just did that in the Super Bowl. So Bill Belichick is the emperor. Tom Brady's Darth Vader. But then there is a good side to the NFL, to the Patriots, and that is that we obviously know Luke Skywalker and the good side of the Force. But how about Eli Manning and the Giants? They took down this dark side twice in the Super Bowl. And Luke Skywalker took down 2 Death Stars. So you could say they got the similarities there. In 2007, the Patriots were the most dominant football team I probably have ever seen. Yeah. And they were beat by Eli Manning and the Giants. So the dark side of the Force, most dominant empire you've ever seen. But they were taken down eventually, just like the Patriots were. So the Patriots are the dark side of the Force from Star Wars.
I could totally see that correlation. My favorite villain of all time is definitely Darth Maul.
Yeah.
He's only in one of them, but I could see him as being like the Julian Edelman.
Okay.
The quiet guy just does his job.
Yep.
But that's a great correlation there. Going to my next one, I'm going to go to the TV show The Office, which
Your favorite.
I'll have more on later, that's for sure. as we get later on in the show. But The Office for sure. And what they remind me of is the current Utah Jazz team. And this is how I'm going to explain that. The Jazz, you look at their roster, it's almost like a bunch of misfits. And you look at The Office, you look at their cast. That's I think what makes that show so funny and so good. It's just a bunch of random people that work for a paper company.
Right.
A bunch of misfits. A bunch of people you want to see as celebrities. And I think Utah, that's what attracts Utah. It's in Salt Lake. It's not a big market. You're not going to go get the biggest names and the biggest stars. But you get a guy like Joe Ingles. I mean, that guy looks like he should not be on an NBA roster. But he is playing incredible. And I mean, you look at other guys, Rudy Gobert, obviously he's got the height, but he's much different than a modern-day NBA center. Ricky Rubio was labeled as a bust, and Donovan Mitchell was a steal of the draft. And so they remind me a lot of The Office, and they have a great sense of humor. I follow all these guys on social media, and first of all, Donovan Mitchell's a huge fan of the show, so I'm sure he'd be happy. But they have a great time. They're great friends. I saw a story during the trade deadline when Ricky Rubio was on the trade block. There's rumors that he could be going out to get Mike Conley. Him and Joe Ingles packed a lunch and ate right outside the GM's office and just waiting to see him and posted all over social media. It was pretty funny, but that's how I think The Office relates to the current Utah Jazz.
That's absolutely good. One of your favorite shows, and definitely one of your favorite teams right now. I'd say you're a big Jazz fan of what they're doing right now. For me, my one TV show I have on this list, we've kind of talked about it before. It is The Bachelor, and shout out to the show right now. Cassie, I think, is taking over the number one spot above Kaylin. Hannah G still number 3, but it's getting good. It's crunch time right now. Not many girls
Can't
left.
wait to hear what relates to The Bachelor.
But okay, here we go. The current Bachelor actually is Colin Underwood, a former football player actually, who's actually a very good college player. He did not get drafted, but he's been with 3 teams in their training camp and has practiced with them. And let's start out with 2 of them. That is the Chargers and the Raiders. And Colin and Bachelor, they have in common with the Chargers and the Raiders that they don't get the job done. The Chargers and the Raiders do not get the job done. Chargers made it very far this year. They couldn't get it done. Raiders were just awful this year. We don't even talk about the Raiders on this show. So John Gruden messed it up this year. And Colin, usually the Bachelors don't get the job done. They get married on the last show, of course, but then after that, they always break up, it seems like. So it doesn't really happen too much. So that's how he relates to his first 2 teams. But this Eagles team he also practiced for was the Philadelphia Eagles. And we know the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And so Colin's going to win the Bachelor this year with some girl, probably going to be Cassie. That's my pick. But just like the Eagles, their win is very short. This relationship's very short. It's not going to last. I'll say you that. On The Bachelor, the relationships never last. And so Colin, he's going to win it this year, just like the Eagles won it a couple of years ago. But the Eagles, they're not getting back to the Super Bowl in some time. Their window is very short. And just like Colin, he's going to win it this year with Cassie. But after that, it's just not going to last, just like any other Bachelor, just like the Chargers and the Raiders and the Eagles. So Colin Underwood and The Bachelor, they relate to the Chargers, Raiders, and Eagles because they don't get the job done. And unfortunately, it's not good to see, but hopefully he does.
Have you always been a fan of The Bachelor? Is this kind of a new thing? Did you grow up a fan of The Bachelor?
Let's move on. No, it's a good show. It's a good show.
Yeah, no,
I've watched it.
I got nothing against it. I will say, I grew up with an older sister and my mom. They watched it. And I never really got into it, but it's a show based around competition.
Right.
And so I'll watch any show based around competition, but if there's sports on, I'm probably not going to tune in, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's a football player, so, there's some similarities there, but no, it's definitely not. It's definitely got to be more your style. You got to go into it not thinking it's too serious. You got to have a laugh with it, because it's not serious. It's all not going to work out, unfortunately.
Well, my last one is going to be another TV show for perhaps the most famous sitcom of all TV shows, and you can thank every single really TV show nowadays to the success of this show, and that is called Friends. I'm sure you guys have all at least one time seen Friends, or are avid fans of Friends. I am for sure. We watch it all the time. And the team I related to, which this one was kind of hard for me to think of, but I ended up going with the Warriors, the current Warriors team, because it's a bunch. Obviously the Warriors, very time, but you look at the Friends cast. What makes that show so cool is they're all so different. They all have very different personalities. Yet they do everything together. They spend all this time together. I was looking at the Warriors, the Warriors team, and I'm looking at some of the common traits. I compare Monica to Draymond Green, which might sound weird, but Monica is very, very uptight about everything. Her apartment's where they always hang out and do whatever. And I think that's what Draymond's role is for the Warriors. While he might be annoying and he might be out there and he might get under the skin of everyone like Monica does, he keeps the ship rolling. He keeps everything going. It runs through him. And because of his attitude, because of his personality, and that's what kind of reminds me of Monica. Without Monica, the game would be dysfunctional. Without Draymond, I think the Warriors would truly be dysfunctional. I relate Steph Curry to Joey, just because he's just there to have a good time. He's just there to have fun. You see Steph's celebrations. Right. He loves playing the game. We were talking with one of our coworkers this morning, Tanner Talon, if he's listening, and he was talking about how he watched a podcast with Steve Kerr and said he built his team around joy, which I think is really cool. You don't really hear that word a lot around professional sports markets or just big time sports programs because it's such a tough business. So I think Steph Curry embodies that, and that's what Joey brings to the table in the show Friends. Kevin Durant's kind of the quiet one, the one that everyone hates, and I think Ross Geller is a great person. He's not. I want to say Ross Geller is quiet, but people either love or hate Ross. There's no in between. Mm-hmm. Boogie Cousins still kind of new to this scene, but he's just kind of there to have a good time, has a good attitude about everything. So I'd relate him probably to Phoebe, and then Klay Thompson. I can't really relate to anyone. Klay doesn't do anything. He doesn't say much, or he doesn't do much, but he's got great sarcastic sense of humor, so you can maybe go Chandler. But that's how I relate Friends to the Warriors.
That was really good. All five of their starting five on the same show, so that's really good there. I like that one a lot. For my last one, it's not really a team. It is LeBron James. He is his own team. And I'm going to relate LeBron James to the movie Lion King. I'm pretty sure all of you guys have seen it.
Just ruined Lion King for me.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
It's not ruined it for you. Here's why. LeBron James is Mufasa. He's the leader. And then he's got two Simbas right now. That is Bronny and Bryce Maximus. They will be LeBron in the future. They'll be the new Mufasa. And LeBron, I actually looked it up. It's one of his favorite movies, so I had to relate that to him. And he did cry in the movie, just like everybody else, when Scar kills Mufasa. Everyone cries at that part. It's very sad. And LeBron definitely did too. And LeBron actually does have a lion head tattoo for his wife, Gloria. And so he's a big Lion fan. He is the king. We know that. There's a bunch of movies and shows on Netflix that relate LeBron and hype videos to the Lion, because that's who he is. He's the king of the jungle. He's the king of the NBA. He is Mufasa in The Lion King, and he's got two Simbas, Bronny and Bryce. LeBron James is the Lion King.
Definitely just ruined Lion King for me.
I hope not.
I knew you would throw out a LeBron in there somehow.
I had to. I'm wearing it right now. It should say Lion Kings instead of the Lakers right now, because LeBron is the Lakers.
I believe are they making
They are making a new one. Yes,
like
it's a live action one.
Live action, and
yeah,
there's
another
something else with Lion King too. They're releasing two things on Lion King.
Maybe they're making another one.
That was like a play or something. I don't know.
I've seen the play. I have seen the play.
I've seen the
yes,
play.
in Las Vegas, and actually I think it was Broadway. I watched it too.
Was it good?
It was very good, fantastic, just as good as the movie. Would be better if LeBron James was acting it though.
It'll be interesting to see how the live action one is. I'm curious to see how that
hopefully it turns out well. Disney will do a good job, I'm sure.
I always have a hard time with remakes like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Comparing to the originals, it's kind of tough. That's why, I mean, you talked about Star Wars. I love Star Wars to death, but I think it's getting time to
the new ones
to wrap it up. I think Disney's it's time to wrap it up. There, that's for sure. But do you like scary movies?
Scary movies, not the biggest fan of them. I won't go see them alone. I'll say that. If someone else wants to go see it, I will go see it with them. Yes.
Because if I had to relate a scary movie, I'd be the Lakers. It's a horror film. What's going on down there? It's a disaster. Pelicans are the ones that are giving them the horror too.
The Pelicans will be the horror story next year when they lose Anthony Davis to get nothing in return.
That's a whole other conversation. They're getting the number one pick.
The Lakers are going to be
way more than what LA has to offer.
The opposite of a horror movie. They're going to be a love story, just like today on Valentine's Day, because they get Klay Thompson and Kawhi Leonard next year, since they got the two max spots, and then they'll be playing the Celtics in the NBA Finals.
That's quite the prediction. That's a conversation for another day. But that wraps up our shows to sports relation. That's kind of what our show today is going to be based around. Lots of just different opinions based on us. We got a big segment coming up for you guys, so stay tuned. That wraps up that one, but this show's just getting started. It's going to be a great one. We'll see you guys in a sec.